Rick's List, CNN weekday afternoons, 3 Eastern.
I have the complaints in front of me here. I have Ed Lavandera, who's actually been working on this story for quite some time. Right. You're prepared to break the news that you've known about for quite some time, but have been holding back to make sure we had all sides covered and that we could be as fair as we possibly can be in this case. Tell us what you know.
Well, Jim, you've kind of hit the nail on the head here. I mean, we've got clearly a couple of cases that are going to send kind of shockwaves through this church, and it is a massive church. I mean, I don't think you can really underestimate the influence that this Bishop Long has, and kind of the spiritual empire that he's built. So
no, listen, I know.
I
mentioned this a little while ago. We're already getting thousands and thousands of tweets from people. Many people who are saying, I'm having a tough time believing this. So let's go through what is alleged, what the document actually says. Here are the two plaintiffs. One is Maurice Robinson, and the other one is a boy named Anthony Flagg, right?
Right now, one of them is 20 years old, the other one is 21 years old.
When they came to the church, they were 14 years old.
They came to the church, which is what is interesting, and the background of all this is that one of the things that Bishop Long does, and he's long kind of advocated helping young people, especially young boys become good men in society. So he has what is called the Longfellows Youth Academy. And starting about the age of 14, a lot of parents bring their kids to this academy,
especially fatherless young kids.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Right. It's one of the things. So troubled kids, to kind of put them on the right path, and so it's a multi-step program.
Let me add to what you're saying. You ready? Here we go. Mark over my shoulder if you can. Defendant Long utilized his spiritual authority as bishop and leader of defendants' ministries to coerce certain young male members and employees of defendant New Birth and pupils of defendant Longfellows, that's the organization you talk about where they counsel the young men, into engaging in sexual acts and relationships for his own personal gratification. Then it goes on to say that certain young men were singled out as a select group of young male church members and using his authority as bishop over them to ultimately bring them to a point of engaging in a sexual relationship. I mean, it sounds like he's working them.
That's what they're alleging, and it's really important to be clear here at this point, is that based on what we've read in these documents, that there doesn't appear to be, at this point, any kind of allegations or that suggests that what happened here is criminal in nature. The age of giving sexual consent in the state of Georgia is 16. So
and they were 16 by the time they started having a sexual relationship.
Right, 17 and 18. Although they had met the bishop and had been into this program and had later become employees of the church, and that's what the beginning of that relationship
But beyond that, let's suppose that it's something that he might argue they were willing to do. Right? As difficult as that is. Leaving the consensual aspect of this apart, here's where I think a lot of people are going to be interested in this part of the story. Mark, over my shoulder again. Defendant Long used his monetary funds from the accounts of defendant New Birth, so in other words, money from the congregation, New Birth, and defendant Longfellows, among other corporate and nonprofit corporate accounts, to entice the chosen spiritual sons with cars, clothes, jewelry, and electronics. That's going to be troubling for people who have been giving money to this congregation.
Another thing to remember here as well is that if you remember back a few years ago, there was a big congressional push to investigate these mega churches across the country. Senator Chuck Grassley was one of the leaders in that effort. This is one of the churches, New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, Bishop Long's church, is one of the churches that had been kind of pinpointed to this. How that comes back and plays into that investigation will be interesting to see in the coming months.
This is troubling, and especially about the part where the young man, this is, I forget their names now, Anthony Flagg was a young man who apparently didn't have a father. He went to him. He was looking for spiritual guidance from a male, which he wasn't getting in his own home. And then he goes on to describe that the spiritual guidance he got was not what he really was looking for.